Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
Well, we know now why Abigail Spanberger didn't want many debates. She's bad.
That's for sure.
She's a really bad candidate, super bad. It's why she backed out of the CNN debate that Winsome-Sears agreed to. Mm-hmm. It's why she only agreed to this one debate down in Norfolk. We're giving you full coverage of the debate. We think that the voters of Virginia should be informed about their candidates and their positions. Coming up in 30 minutes, Maegan Mubbs of IWF will join us. 7:05, Caroline Glick of the Netanyahu administration. 7:35, Christian Daytuck of Washington Examiner. And then at 8:35, Glenn Youngkin of, the governor's mansion in Virginia. We'll get his review of Winsome-Sears last night. It's Larry O'Connor alongside Patrice Onwuka. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning, Larry. Happy Friday, everybody.
And it's not a happy Friday for Abigail Spanberger.
Well, Ms. Spanberger, we just want to clarify, what you're saying is that as of now, you still endorse Jay Jones as Attorney General.
I'm saying as of now, it's up to every voter to make their own individual decision. I am running for governor. I am accountable for the words that I say, for the acts that I take, for the policies that I have put out.
Wow, she is clear, straightforward, and honest, just like a good CIA operative, isn't she? That was her fourth opportunity, Patrice, to simply say, yeah, I'm not going to endorse this guy. I mean, I didn't have, he's on the ticket. What can I do? He's a Democrat. But there's no way I could ever vote for him or endorse him. That's all it would have taken. But she couldn't do it. Walter Curt joins us now. Walter Curt, by the way, is if I may say, a rising star in the new media. He does a great job as an independent journalist and a nightly live stream that I've caught now and again. Walter, congratulations on all the hard work you're doing, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on, Larry. It's been a fantastic morning from last night's win.
Yeah, it wasn't even close. And I don't know if you reviewed the headlines from The Hill to Washington Examiner to, the Daily Signal, certainly, and Fox News, and even the Washington Post can't deny that the number one dominant issue coming out of the debate was Abigail Spanberger's refusal to withdraw her endorsement of Jay Jones. Quite a strategy.
It was unbelievable to me. Even the headlines from their friendly media, they still within the first two lines admit that she didn't withdraw her endorsement from Jay Jones. So even from friendly media, she's got skewered on it. So I don't know what her debate prep was, because even if that was her, she was not going to withdraw her endorsement, that was the worst possible way to answer it. 3 different times. Or 4 different times. Sorry.
I think she didn't want a lot of attention on the debate. That's why she evaded and tried to avoid having a debate. But the whole key here now is whether the Sears people and the Republican Governors Association can cut effective ads to make Spanberger look as bad as she was. I'm concerned that Winsome-Sears' constant interruptions and overlapping dialogue is going to muddy the message. Patrice loved the interactions and the speaking over. So where to break the tie here, Walter?
Well, I'll tell you right now, I think that the interruptions that Winsome did was a brilliant move by her, because it was obviously rattling Spanberger. By middle of the way through the debate, she had her pen in her hand, and she was destroying that poor notebook that she had that day. She was destroying that notebook. That poor notebook did not survive the debate. She was so furious halfway through the debate that everything that Winsome did, it completely rattled her. She couldn't answer anything because she was so mad.
Yeah. Well, and that's my point. Winsome-Sears was able to tease out and say, cut through the word salad and say exactly what Abigail Spanberger was not. I would love your thoughts on the interviewers, the people who are the moderators of the panel. They seemed, although some are calling them far right, I don't necessarily think that's true. Do you think they did a good job of holding both candidates accountable to the things that they were saying or dodging?
I think that they did a really good job. I've got to give Wavy credit. They did an amazing job on that debate stage. I saw the headlines talking about, oh my goodness, they're far right. All it was is they made them answer questions, and if answering questions is actually a far right concept, then whatever. I guess that's just how that works now. But no, I think they did a really good job.
There was also a couple of, beyond Jay Jones. Well, let's pause for a second on the Jay Jones issue. The other dominant issue is transgender policies. And again, she had weeks to come up with an answer here, Walter, that sounds better than just the word salad, evasive answer she's been giving to Nick Minnock and other reporters in town. But she couldn't do it. She still can't quite reach the point where she says that where she stands one way or the other on the transgender issue in schools. I think that's going to resonate, don't you?
Listen, she couldn't answer anything on the major issues that everyone cares about. The transgender issue is obviously an issue people care about. And, she's sitting there answering. She got Winsome to get over the moment where she said, well, what about your 3 daughters? If they have to have men change in front of her, are you going to deal with that? And she couldn't answer. She could not answer it. It really was shocking.
Well, what's also shocking is you could tell where Spanberger's kind of sweet spot she probably thinks is, which is trying to interject affordability and just said, I'm the only one with an affordability plan for Virginians. Did that seem authentic? Do people really think and believe that Spanberger, who voted with Democrats for raising federal budget every single time they could, is actually about reducing costs for regular folks?
That's what my thought is every time they bring this up. It's like, well, okay, there's a great meme everyone can see. It's like a goose, and it says, why did that happen? And then it says, well, why did that happen? And you go chasing them away. It's just like that. I mean, it's who raised the cost? Was it Joe Biden with the 40 years of inflation? Who did it? Spanberger. Who did that?
If you look at this race and you look at the New Jersey race, it's obvious that all the Democrats are playing off the Zohran Mamdani playbook, because he used the word affordability. Of course, his solution to affordability is Marxism. But they're all using this catchphrase, I'm trying to make things more affordable, more affordable. Governors don't make things more affordable, number one, but the only way they could is to encourage tax cuts, which, of course, she's against. Have you done a deep dive into – she claims she's got all these great policies about affordability, but I don't really see any actual solutions other than just gobbledygook.
She has nothing. She's had nothing the whole time. This woman, I don't know what her campaign strategy has been this whole time. And I was calling it the Joe Biden basement strategy, where she just hides and hopes that no one answers her questions. But she did the debate, and she comes out here, and it was exactly what I thought it would look like. And if anybody had any questions, if it was just her online activity of how she is actually going to be as a governor or what her real candidacy is, everyone was exactly proven right today. It's unbelievable.
Absolutely. It was weak, it was evasive, and it wasn't leadership. The question is, was it bad enough to turn the tide of this campaign, especially considering we've already had, 3 weeks now of voting before we even had a debate? Unbelievable. Walter, stay with us. I got another question, because when she did finally address an issue and come down firm on a topic like sanctuary policies and law enforcement working with ICE, it appears she lied through her teeth. We'll explore that in a moment.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Your next $1,000 could be one text away. It's $5K a day on WMAL.
And I have been quite clear in the fact that I oppose any sort of mandates that require localities to, frankly, do the work of ICE officials.
Okay, that's Abigail Spanberger several weeks ago at a pointy-headed little symposium at University of Virginia, the only kind of campaign events she actually does and the only kind of questions and answers she actually takes. But it was clear that she doesn't want local law enforcement agencies to cooperate with ICE officials. When confronted on that last night on the debate stage, she kind of had a different story.
Are there any situations in which you would support local law enforcement assisting ICE? You have 60 seconds.
Absolutely. I'm a former federal agent. I used to work narcotics and money laundering cases. I regularly worked on task force arrests and search warrants in partnership with local and state police. As a federal law enforcement officer. Importantly, anytime there is a warrant, an arrest warrant, a search warrant to detain someone, absolutely local law enforcement, local resources should and must be employed.
Walter, that sounded like a fake way of answering the question, because as most people know, ICE doesn't deal with bench warrants and arrest warrants when they're rounding up people who are in the country illegally and are facing deportation. Those were weasel words to try to fool voters, I think.
That's exactly what they were. Listen, you got to notice how many words she put in between the word ICE and where she finally got to the bottom of that sentence. I mean, she intends to do that so that way people forget what it was about by the time you get to the end of it because no one has any idea what she's talking about. I mean, that's why we got to Winston managed to get her with her own Trump moment in the midst of this.
Yeah.
You know, she kept going. And she said, well, you don't even know what you're saying. It was just beautiful.
Yeah,
I love
it.
it.
Great moment.
You know, Walter, thinking about who's left to vote, I mean, obviously both camps are going to try and turn out their bases, but then there are the independent voters. Do you think from what last night's debate performance that independent voters will be so turned off by Abigail Spanberger and so turned on to Winsome Earle-Sears that they would keep the state red and the governor mansion in Republican hands?
Listen, to me, I think last night was a breakout moment for Winsome. A lot of people that have known Winsome have seen her before. Maybe they just didn't know what her style was. But I think a lot of people saw Winsome as more of a reserved candidate. And last night, she came out with the fire, and she proved that she has leadership, confidence, and she can actually win. I think that she absolutely can, and I think she absolutely changed minds last night.
Well, the last poll that just hit came out as Signal. We've seen all the polls tightening, except this Christopher Newport. What's going on over there? They're constantly undercounting Republican voters, I think.
Their poll is terrible. It's so bad.
It really is, and it's never right. They claim that this is a 10-point margin right now. All of the latest polls show it around 5. In fact, the Signal poll just showed it a 4-point lead. 49 to 45, and I keep noticing Spanberger cannot get over the 50% mark. That means there's a lot of undecideds, and if you were undecided and you wanted to see how they looked in the debate, Walter, I mean, where do you think the undecideds go now?
I don't think that there's anybody who could watch that debate and come away with anything about Spanberger giving real answers, any leadership. I mean, even on the stuff that she should have been stronger on, the abortion issue, she had nothing. She had nothing. Wow. She couldn't speak. She couldn't speak properly. I mean, her main key points that she had. What did she? Does anyone have any idea what she said? The whole debate. Like, what did she bring up?
She was on the defensive the entire time. And again, maybe that was part of Winsome Sears' strategy to sort of get her off her mark and off her game by doing the interruptions and sort of trying to knock her off her pedestal a bit. What do you hear in terms of finances and resources? We had the chairman of the Republican Party of Virginia on the other day, and he was sort of sending up the flags of concern that they weren't getting the money from national groups like the RNC and from the Republican Governors Association to the level that they would prefer.
You know, I'd like to see a lot more money in this race, and I think people maybe after this debate, they definitely will see that there's the opportunity. To me, there was only, I think, last time I looked at the fundraising numbers, it was actually not that far off, though. Spanberger had $12 million cash on hand. Winsome had $5 million, but she also got an additional $5 million from the Republican Governors Association for ads. So the fundraising numbers weren't that far in difference. But the big difference now is that if anybody doesn't think Winsome has the opportunity to win, with all of this stuff that she's got, you know, she's got Jay Jones, she's got the Fairfax story, she's got Abigail Spanberger and the defamation lawsuit she's part of. You know, there's all sorts of stuff you can use. Yeah. So, you know, I think that there's a real opportunity if they get the money forward. And after Winsome last night, I will be very surprised if donors aren't calling her.
Very good.
Let me pivot to the Attorney General race here, because we just got a poll yesterday that shows Jason Miyares moving the needle by the tune of, I think, 6 or 7 points, now taking a lead over Jay Jones. Again, these are polls. Take it for what it's worth. But is Jay Jones dead man walking at this point after this? Is he going to recover from this scandal?
He better not. Listen, there's no way that there's no way he can recover from this. But you know, maybe here's the one thing: if none of these people actually do recover from this, so say they all manage to make it through somehow, okay? Well, then the real question becomes: since Abigail Spanberger would be governor, maybe she'll have to pardon Jay Jones when he decides to act on his fantasies.
We'll leave it there. Walter, Curt, thanks for that. Remind everybody where they can catch your work and where because you've got a Substack going, right?
Yes, sir. You can check me out at WCDispatch.com, and you can always find me on X at WCDispatch.
Yes, and you're doing your live.
Thank you for.
Sorry,
I was just going to say thank you for breaking our tie. That interruptions by Winsome were a good thing.
Yes, you won the tiebreaker. Real fast, you do a nightly live stream as well. I see you streaming on X now and again. Is that nightly at 9?
Yes, they had 9 p.m. weeknights. It's The Political Theater. You can find it on X, Spotify, Apple, everywhere. So that's our own talk show. That's 3 hours every night.
I joined you once. I saw The Political Theater. I was looking for jazz hands. I wanted some show tunes. It's not exactly what I was expecting, but it is good stuff. All right, Walter, thanks. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, Larry. Thanks, guys.
6:23.
All right. Well, let's take a broader perspective and look at what's going on globally, particularly with women. Great new report coming out from Maegan Mobbs. We're going to have her on to discuss this report and more. Stay with us. It's O'Connor and Company at 6:30.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
It's now 6:37. It's O'Connor and Company this Friday, 10th day of October. Thanks for joining us. Yes, we still got more to say about last night's debate, but there's other news going on as well. Coming up at 7:15, Caroline Glick is going to join us from Israel, talk about the peace deal. 7:35, Christian Daytalk of the Examiner covering the White House. We'll find out if Trump is heading to Israel. And then at 8:35, the governor of Virginia, Glenn Youngkin, on last night's debate. I'm Larry O'Connor, and that right there, I know her. She's Patrice Onwuka. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning. Happy Friday. We made it, everybody.
Yes, we did.
All right. So we are happy now to welcome to our show Maegan Mobbs. Maegan is one of my coworkers at Independent Women. She's the director of our Center for American Safety and Security. Now, folks, Maegan is highly accomplished. She's a psychologist. She has a PhD, although she doesn't go by the pretentious doctor title. She's a West Point grad. She's a paratrooper. She's seen a combat veteran. And Maegan has just put out a really interesting report entitled Women and the West, Liberty, Tyranny, and True Liberal Values. Welcome to the show, Maegan.
Hi, Patrice. Good morning. Thanks for having me. Hi, Larry.
Hey, Maegan.
Good morning. So, this report is so interesting because really you're talking about how the treatment of women in societies can be a canary in the coal mine for the moral decay of civilizations, kind of the health of the institutions of in different countries. You take a broad international perspective, but also you reflect on what's happening here in the United States where, quote unquote, progress is cloaking actual erosion of what's going on with women. So I would love for you just to kind of give us a broad overview of the report.
Well, Patrice, actually, you did a fantastic job. That's exactly right. What we're effectively saying is exactly that, which is that women and girls and how we treat them are effectively canaries in the coal mine. When we begin to see them not do well, not thrive, it is actually indicative of a broader sense of moral decay. So effectively, the fate of women and girls is a measure of civilization's moral strength and institutional integrity. And when that begins to fail, the society is beginning to fail. And obviously, we even saw that here in the U.S. with the huge fight about biological reality with IWF in particular. And that was indicative of this broader erosion, like you're saying. And we need to be on guard against it, and we need to push back aggressively.
What areas of the world are you seeing the flashpoints? Obviously, I think Afghanistan is a perfect example, now that the Taliban has taken over after our disastrous pullout. It's been precipitous and drastic, the women's treatment there. Expand on that, and also are there other areas of the world that are deeply concerning from your perspective?
Yeah, Afghanistan is a perfect example. We've seen exactly what's happened there. The lights literally went out for Afghan women. And we use this metric. It's the Women, Peace, and Security metric, which is an indices that measures a bunch of different things to see how women fare across the world. It's not a great metric. It's not perfect. As you both know, data is never 100% accurate. It can be manipulated, but it's a good scaffolding for understanding. And obviously, Afghanistan ranks in the bottom 5 of countries because effectively what you have is totalitarianism and all women's rights are eroded. But to your point, Larry, we're actually looking more not just at the bottom five, we're looking at the West. We're looking at Europe, where we are seeing some very, very scary things happen with freedom of speech in the UK, for example, being cracked down on, where people are posting about it and then they're getting arrested. And in fact, sometimes the punishments are greater than the crime they're talking about on social media. We talk about what's happening in Sweden with the rise of immigration and crime and how migrants there haven't been effectively assimilated. And we talk about our borders here in the U.S. and how that's caused erosion, but also the inability to acknowledge biological reality.
Well, you know, I mean, I think a broader point here, Maegan, and we're speaking with Maegan Mobbs. She's the director of the Center for Security and Safety at Independent Women. You know, I think there's something here about the thread of the Western society, the Western cultures, and our values, our principles, as frankly paramount. And I think we are living in a world where it's like, well, you know, if you're an Islamist, you're totally fine, go for it. But, you know, we think what we think here about in the West. And yet Islamism is Islamist. I mean, like the radical, violent Islamic strains are infiltrating into the Western cultures, and we're not standing up and saying, no, our way is the right way.
That's exactly right. We effectively put forward exactly that. West is in fact best. And when I say West, I mean true liberal values, to your point, and that we have to reject moral relativism. Cultures that say it's okay to rape 13-year-old girls, to conduct female genital mutilation, they're bad. That is a bad thing. And we can say that aggressively with moral clarity. And then we can say cultures that don't do that are good. The problem is that in the West in particular, we've allowed this tolerance to flourish unchecked, and it's leading to our destruction from within.
Maegan, you said something there that I think is really important to draw out. You know, the buzzword from American politicians for decades now was women rights are human rights. Women, and it's kind of trite because obviously that's true. Women are humans. Thank you very much. Now, what does that actually mean? And it seems to me that most of the people on the political left in America, when they would try to focus on women's rights in other countries, it sort of began and end with their ability to kill their unborn child. That's really their main focus, right? But it turns out if you're embracing transgender rights, so-called, which allow for biological men to invade women's spaces and endanger women in prison, as we've seen in the UK, Scotland, and other places, that's actually transgender rights are contrary to women's rights. Is that what I heard you basically spell out there?
That's exactly right. And this goes back to this kind of unchecked tolerance and this unwillingness to talk about truth. I mean, there are some things that are true, and there are some things that are not true, right? And biological reality is one of those. And as the West began to kind of excuse reality and try to wash it away, women and girls became the biggest sufferers of all of that. And whether it was about transgender rights, like you're saying, or about other things, like about how open border or crime was affecting our communities, but we were telling women and girls, no, the crime rates aren't going up. Everything is totally fine. Meanwhile, they were experiencing it in their real lives every day. Yeah. And as we saw this last year, the crime data, in fact, was manipulated here in the U.S. They were really experiencing those things.
Well, Maegan, we've got to leave it right there, but folks can go to Independent Women to read the Women and the West, Liberty, Tyranny, and True Liberal Values. And you have a really fun social media X handle, Mobs_mentality. Folks should definitely go check her out, check this work out. And thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I'll have a great Friday.
Maegan, go Navy.
Go Army. Be Navy.
All right. Figured it was something we wouldn't agree on. It's 6:44.
This afternoon on the Derek Hunter Show, Donald Trump denied the Nobel Peace Prize. Democrats rejoice because they hate him and peace. We'll talk about it at 3 o'clock on WMAL.
You know, when Jeff Bezos, the founder and CEO of Amazon and one of the richest men in the world, when he wants to do something nice for prominent women in entertainment or in politics, usually it's reduced to strapping them on the top of an incredibly phallic-looking rocket ship and shooting them into space.
Really, Larry?
That's what he does. Let's face it. And Katy Perry seemed to enjoy it, I suppose. She's an astronaut, don't you know? Same with Gail over there on CBS News. But when it comes to Melania Trump, he's not shooting her into space. I'm guessing President Trump probably And let's face it, if Trump was going to send Melania into space, it would be on a SpaceX Elon Musk-approved rocket.
Very
right?
true, yes.
Instead, Jeff Bezos and Amazon decided to produce and present a documentary on Melania Trump, specifically focusing on the 20 days leading up to Inauguration Day 2025. This was announced a while ago that it would be a documentary film. It's actually produced by Amazon MGM Studios. $40 million project, by the way. $40 million on a documentary is a tidy budget, man. That is not cheap at all. And it's promising to be a backstage pass into Melania's private world as she juggles family business and her reprised role as First Lady of the United States. I'm, of course, reading directly from the press release. That said, it was announced yesterday that not only will this be streaming on Amazon Prime, obviously, but they're actually going to debut it in movie theaters. It'll be a feature film. Wow. And it will debut just 1 year after the inauguration. It'll be late January of 2026. That's actually kind of an interesting development there, that it's going to the theaters.
Yeah, the theater piece is really great because we've seen the fight to get content that, lots of different people are interested in, Christian content, movies, for example. And so to see a movie about not just a first lady, but one of probably the only first ladies that have faced the kind of onslaught against her as Melania Trump has. And I see this as just a second step in the media kind of thawing out. We wondered why she was not able to grace the cover of so many magazines during the first Trump administration. Now, what is it? Vogue decided to potentially do a cover story of her or something like that. And obviously the blue check mark, the Blue Sky folks are going crazy over that. Yeah. And now they're going to see her on the big screen. I love it. I embrace it. And I'm looking forward to seeing it on my Amazon Prime.
One reason that oftentimes filmmakers, directors, et cetera, when they make a deal with like Netflix or Amazon Prime or what have you to distribute their feature film, they want to get the film in the theaters as well so it can be eligible for an Oscar. So maybe that's part of the deal here.
I doubt documentary category?
In the documentary category. I doubt that the Academy will ever nominate a documentary based on Melania Trump, but you never know. We'll see. One of the things, if you're into high fashion, and she is a model, and
speaking my language, Larry, I can't wait to watch the outfits and the shoes
and wardrobe fittings. Apparently, you get to see her go through wardrobe fittings and various stylings with some of the most prestigious fashion houses on the planet.
Goodness.
So I know that's a thing for you. Me personally, I'm looking forward to seeing it, but also I want to see glimpses because apparently you get backstage at Mar-a-Lago, at Trump Tower, and in the executive mansion. You sort of like you get to see what those places are like behind the scenes in places that most people don't get to see, like the residence and stuff. So there you go. Melania, documentary film. It will hit theaters nationwide January 30th. You only have 3 months to wait. It's 6:52.